I've been on this like a diet lately.
Kind of diet.
Like the other possible bar, he was saying, like watching your carbs and stuff like that, because they're really unnecessary. So I stay away from them.
Okay.
As much as I can, He saw me putting shit in.
The title is
America is modern day Rome reincarnated. Yeah, it's hard to stay away from that. Like you said, carbs like bread. What's that bread?
Bread, potatoes.
Yeah, potatoes, French fries.
All that.
Brother got some short arms. All right, shalom, shalom. Keepers of sheep, back with us sit down to the spirit and power of Yahweh. By Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom. And shalom to the Lord's elect.
Shalom.
All right, but before we begin, we'd like to first start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High.
Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakwadash.
And today's sit down will be titled America is Modern Day Rome Reincarnated. All right. And of course, we chose this title through the spirit and power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. But today, you just want to touch on how basically, like they say in the world, history repeats itself, and how, not only is this the same, not only is this the Roman Empire, all right, reincarnated, regenerated into the earth, these are the same spirits, all right. But first, I want to grab, brothers ain't got that, we can grab Revelation 8 and 11, especially Sodom and Egypt.
Is that 11 and 8?
11, yeah, either way.
Kind of. So it's Revelation 11 and 8, right? It says in there,
I can see kind of through spirit the reference. You'll make how things are written 4 times before I learn it. How like the way these kingdoms, like example with the book of Nahum chapter 3 when it goes to ancient Nineveh, that's referring to America today, because the characteristics and the things that ancient Nineveh had going on, was sort of similar, if not the
same. You know what? That house of bondage, right? When you go into the book of right? That's exactly what America is. That house of bondage, right? They brought us. They made us. They made us slaves. So this is spiritually Egypt, the same way that Pharaoh did then. You know what I'm saying? It's those same spirits coming back again. Right? And you can grab it right quick before I break down the last part.
This is Exodus 20, after verse 1. It says, "And Yahweh spake." It says, "And Yahweh spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord Yahweh thy power, which I brought thee out of the house, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Right. So like brother saying, these are, ain't nothing new under the sun. That's why Yahweh Shai, he referring to, we're spiritually Sodom, as the brothers broke down, with all that iniquity and, the almost how they had going on down there, right? And then the same thing we're here with Egypt, man. We're still in captivity. We know we're amongst captivity amongst the modern day Egyptians as well, right? It's that same wicked spirit that's flowing, man. And it's right here in America today, that great city. Though we're in captivity, of course you don't see it truly physically no more, because you feel like you can go out here and work these jobs. You feel like that's benefit things and such, but that's because you don't understand where we truly come from. The world is made for our sakes, and you don't understand why we here. So you don't 2/3 don't get it.
But not to cut you off, it felt the same way. Being in each captivity, like you said, our people was comfortable with it. What's the account when they said, the account with Egypt, with Moses, when they said, hey, basically you could have left us in Egypt, all right? They was comfortable, yeah, it was comfortable then. But that's how.
Even with that, how they left, how they you had a wicked man who wanted to, go back into Egypt, right? Also, how they didn't even keep the patience. Moses went to the mount to get the mount was the chariot to get the laws and commandments for Yahweh Shai. He come back, they done made a golden calf, golden whatever they made. Aaron done made the thing because they never had patience. They never really had the faith or patience to trust, But going back to it, the point of it, right? Out of the house of bondage, just understanding that we was in captivity in Egypt, but we're in captivity here today in America.
So and I'll start from the top of the verse, right? So this is Revelation 11:8, right? It says, "In their dead bodies, being spiritually dead Israelites, it says, shall lie in the street of the great city, which is Babylon, America, right? It says, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, right? The house of bondage and a bunch of sodomy, right? It said in the last part of the verse, it says, where also our Lord was crucified, right? So this right here, this goes into what? When you go into, the 1400s, right? The Renaissance period, right? Or, when you read the book of Maccabees in the third chapter, and that's the spirit, really, because I just did a lesson on this. That's what I just uploaded. But, when you go into the first Maccabees, the third chapter, right, it says what? They sought to paint the likenesses of their images, right? Speaking to the heathen, right? Or, Job 9:4. He covers the faces of judges thereof, right? This right here, over here is where the Lord was crucified. They tainted the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. They call him another name. They make fun of the name Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? Because like IUIC, they don't believe that we have any of the Hebrew anymore. They say we don't know it, right? So they disregard, the true names that were given to us by the Spirit, right? So this is what this is speaking to, right? This is where our Lord was crucified, right?
I got to count real fast. Can't read that, but I don't want to turn either. So this Numbers 14. I started verse 1. You can also read about it in Acts, 7th chapter as well, right? But it says, and all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried. The people wept that night, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would the Most High that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would the Most High we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath the Lord Yahweh has brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said to one another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt. Right? And as you can see, they don't never have that faith. They don't never have that trust in Yahweh. They always feel it comfortable to, give in to the ways of the other heathen. They always find it comfortable to, take the easy way out, And if you just understand that, that's a lesson for the day as well. Just going into how, we're built to suffer, because the ones who doing the suffering and do that pain and hardship, they're the ones who Yahweh outside dealing with. You're not dealing with the ones who want to take the easy way out, who want to run into the way of the heathen. Because also, when you understand the heathen are set out to destroy you anyway. That's why I said they words are smooth as butter, but in their mouth, is war, or a two-edged sword, because they want to speak to you good, where you can trust them, where you can put your trust into them, And next thing you know, as soon as you turn around, boom. And even when we go into the ancient Roman Empire, you're gonna see they was doing that to each other. Well, that was backstabbing, killing each other. So what make you think they care about you in any type of way? But you got it. You had left out.
That was really in that on that Revelation 11:8, right? But when you go into the fact that America is truly Rome reincarnated, right? All you really have to do, because just outside of, well, not outside of the scriptures, because it's all in the spirit of the scriptures, but when you just look at the way that America is ran, right? Just look at the buildings. So when you go to Washington D.C., look at the way that that the architecture is when it comes to America, right? It's that same spirit, right? So when you have I think a brother, I forgot which one of y'all sent it to the chat. I think it was you, but when you see pictures like the stadiums, things like that, it's the same. It's the same thing. When you got like the Roman Colosseum, right? That's where these stadiums come from now, right? It was all a tradition in Rome, right? When you look at like state capitol buildings, you got the big pillars, things like that.
Like you said, just like a football stadium or a soccer stadium, whatever.
Right. It's quite literally the same as that thing, because it's all in that same spirit, right? So I pulled up just a couple images, just because you can't help but.
So this video here today, real fast.
I'm gonna show this image right quick.
Go ahead.
this is from the New York Times, right? And you could just see the similarities, right? When you got, this one being Rome, this one being, Washington D.C., right? Because it's all in that same spirit, right? They can't help but be, who Yahweh Hashem Shah made them to be, right? But
This is another video just set me all up. Going into how
They just contracted today. One player on one team, $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. Then he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, can plot the fate of billions, and nobody even cares about it. But 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country. You have a reflection of the society in which that exists. I don't care how long he works, and I don't care what he does.
So like you see with the brother video, man, like it's obvious for those of you who are quote unquote awake. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole woke movement or whatever. A lot of y'all, 99% of y'all ain't woke to nothing. But you know what I'm saying? You notice certain things. When there's some type of big political thing going on, what do? You know what I'm saying? They throw out some type of big sports event or some sports announcement. Things like that. Like these things aren't. There's no such thing as a coincidence. These things are not coincidences. Everything is methodically planned. So like that video was saying, the brother brought out. That's the same thing they was doing back in Rome. They would have these, with the Colosseum, they would have these big events. You got, like I said, like gladiators going against, lions, gladiators fighting against each other. Fights to the death, because that was supposed to boost the morale of the people in Rome. You know what I'm saying? Keep the emperor being, the emperor. So they wouldn't have, riots and things of that nature. It's the same thing now.
Quick point. And just because you mentioned that, Gladiators. I don't know, have brother seen the movie Gladiator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all seen 1 and 2?
I mean, man, I ain't never
Okay,
watched it.
you gotta watch it, man. 1 and 2 is good. And basically, how we was going to, us being in captivity, whatever. When you think about the football players, the basketball players, majority of those are Jake, right? They're just proving you that, no matter what we do, no matter what we're subject to some kind of captivity.
We always subject to it, right? Because that's just the spirit that we've that was placed on us, like Yahweh Shah, or like Yahweh Shah said, not for our destruction per se, what I'm saying, but it was to teach us a lesson. It was because we kept going off, right? I think that's in Baruch 4, and so I can grab that right quick.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go into the beginning of Second Esdras, going into that Second Esdras 11, going into that eagle, which is the Roman Empire, showing you a little bit of structure of how the Roman Empire, how they ran things, and how they, how they had things going with their political system, things of that such, how they had the power and whatnot, and how America mimics that total, that whole total operation what they had going on. America then they get everything they got from Rome. Then verses 13, Lord willing, bring it out as well. You're gonna see how that first beast, it gives its power unto America, which Revelation 13 talks about.
Yeah, I was gonna get you to grab that at some point, but just the point that we was making, Baruch 4 and 6, right? It says, "You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies," right? Because what? Yahweh Shah chose Israel to be what? His chosen people, his people that he put above anybody on the face of the earth, right? The only people that he dealt with, like he said, I've not dealt so with any other nation, right? So for us to, go against him to his face, right? Like it says, it's the people that provoke me, right? We provoke the Lord, right? We decided, you know, saying to forsake, you know, the ways of the law, so on and so forth. Like when you think of the people in the book of First Maccabees, right? What did they do? They sought after the ways of the heathen, right? They wanted to be like, you know, the Greeks and the Grecians, right? So it's always been in the spirit of Jake to provoke the Most High to anger. So what happens when your child, you know what I'm saying, is going off and doing things wrong? You gotta do what? You can't spare that rod, right? So that was that slavery, us going into those captivities. That was that rod that you know the Lord didn't spare.
What chapter you just read? Luke 4.
4 and 6.
4 and 6. I think it's verse 5. It's verse 5 where it say, you know, the things that are pleasing, or somewhere in that chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Things that are pleasing to the Most High made known to us.
Let me keep reading.
I think it's either up before that. Let's see.
Oh yeah, gone.
Yeah, kind of here.
Verse 4. Root 4 and 4 it says, "O Israel, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to the Most High are made known unto us."
Kind of like the point brothers making, how we provoke the Most High, because we're that chosen people unto Him, you know. And you know, and I read real fast before I expound on the point. Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4, and I started verse 5. It says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord Yahweh my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land whether you go possess it." It says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. We shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. It says, for what nation is there so great who hath Yahweh so nigh unto them, as the Lord our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that hath the statutes and judgment so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Right? So we have the laws and commandments. The things that are pleasing how about Shah made known unto us. You know, we had the laws and commandments, right? You know, but when we broke those commandments, we went against Yahweh Shah, there had to be a punishment for it. You know, it's a chapter, you know, it's a precept that goes into how we basically we made his name look bad amongst the nation, because we're supposed to be that nation who walk uprightly, you know, amongst these nations, because we got laws and commandments to separate us. Where holy means separate. How we separated? By giving the laws and commandments, you know. So, you know, we broke those laws and commandments and went against them, so there had to be a punishment behind it. How about Shah had to send us into this captivity? And hopefully that we will understand. But Jake never still got it. So now, you know, a lot of them gonna be destroyed. They're gonna be destroyed for lack of knowledge, you know. But those 2/3 who do understand it and get it, it's like those 1/3 who do understand it and get it, they're gonna be saved and delivered, man. They're gonna overcome these beasts. You know, those are the same ones who return it back. You know, Yahweh Shah said, you know, what more can I do to my vineyard? He gave us the laws and commandments. He gave us the things that are pleasing to him. But Jake never wanted to walk in those ways. Jake wanted once again walk in the easy ways amongst the heathen. Do it if you want to do, like the brother quoted, if I'm mistaken, First Maccabees. You know, they want to choose the way of the heathen, right? You know, because why that was easier for them. Jake ain't never considered his latter end, you know. And it also shows you that they ain't really fear the power of Yahweh Shah. So they have more fear in the ones they seen day to day than they fear Yahweh Shah.
And just to add on real quick, it just show you how anything outside of, like you said, anything outside of the truth, anything outside of our heritage is slavery, is captivity. That's why the nations they have no choice but to be our captives, because they're not of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So anything outside of that is because again, like you said, we're holy people. We're righteous, right? We're the Most High Jews, right? So anything outside of that, it has no choice but to play the second best.
And that's how you even know, like, even that showing, you know, we the Most High chosen people, and the people knowing this, you know, people knowing this, you know. So, but they looking at us now, you know, Ezekiel 36, where it says you have become the infamy, you know, the laughing stock. Like, people are laughing at us because, you know, what they say, when we fail, it's not the perfection of beauty. You know, they mocking us and laughing at us because they knowing that we got, you know, the Most High on our side, you know. But it got to a point to where, you know, Esau, they had their rulership, and they got us down so bad that they feeling like, oh yeah, but the Most High on our side, you know, we're the righteous people. We're doing the righteous work, which they don't understand that he's on the left hand side.
Brethren,
You know, and so, but because why? We making the Most High look bad. You know, it's like when if you have a athlete, like whatever you got, you know, whether you gambling, whatever, prize picks, whatever, and you put your trust in, oh yeah, he's finna go ahead and score 30 points. He go out there and score 1 point. You know, and you looking crazy. That's how the Most High he put his trust in. He gave us the laws and commandments. You know,
It's not like with a woman.
Con.
You put your trust and hope in a woman.
Hey, matter of fact, this is Jeremiah 3:1. Just because you quoted to a woman, because that's why you know Israel.
Yeah, we liken to a woman.
Con, you know, because
version.
That's why it says, you know, that harlot, right? This is Jeremiah 3:1. Real fast, it says, they say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return to her again? And the answer is no, right? Because we understand it. It's crazy. I was talking to an older sister about it the other day, because the women don't get it. You know, adultery is when a man talks to a woman and she has a man, or if a man talks to or a woman talks to a man and she has a man. Right, the women don't understand it, you know, because a woman belongs to her man as long as her man's alive. When you truly understand it, sex is marriage, right? Exodus 20:16. When you lay down with that woman, right, and you know you shall surely endure her to be your wife. Really paraphrasing. You lay down with that woman, she belongs to you until you know, you pass or whatnot. You know, then she could remarry again. But as long as you walk her, she belongs to you, right? So the Most High saying, if a man put away his wife and she go for him and become another man, so he returns to her again? No, because I just broke it down, right? You know, she's adulterous. Back then they would do what? They would stone her to death, right? But right here, right? It says, but thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says the Lord Yahweh, right? So the brother's just saying, you know, it's like to a woman, and that's the spirit. That's the great parable, like to a woman, because why? You know, Israel done played the harlot. Matter of fact, you ain't got nothing, brother. You can grab Jeremiah 2 before we get into the wrong play. But we done played the harlot, man. The harlot with what? That spiritual fornication, man. Following the ways of these daughters, following the ways of these other nations. No land, because you gotta understand, we're in that spiritual marriage with Yahweh Shem Yahweh. You wouldn't want no woman who done laid down with everybody in the city. Next thing you know, she want to marry you. You're not gonna want to take her. You don't want nothing to do with her. So why Yahweh Shem Yahweh want you? You out here laying down with all these doctrines, all these ways. You know, you drunken with the great whore, America. You done laid down with all the philosophy, all the ways, the lifestyle of this place. Yahweh Shem Yahweh ain't dealing with you, man. He don't want you. You know. But it's starting at verse 20.
So this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and verse 20, right? It says, for of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands. And thou saidest, I would not transgress.
So he's saying, you know, when Most High gave the names to Moses, and Moses gave us the name Yahweh, he called the name Yahweh, right? He called the name Yahweh will come deliver us from the captivity, right? You know, we deliver us, we be like, oh no, we ain't gonna transgress no more. We ain't gonna break your laws and commandments no more, right? You could continue reading.
It says, I start from the top. Verse 20 says, for of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands. And thou saidest, I would not transgress. When upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot.
There it is again, playing that harlot. Like the brother referred to, like it's like to a woman, man. Been playing the harlot. Israel been moving around like a great whore, man. You know, you've been laying down with everybody, playing the harlot, following this daughter, following this nation. You go into captivity of the Greeks, you doing what the Greeks do. You go into captivity of the Babylonians, you doing what they do. You go into captivity of the Syrians, you doing what they do. You go into captivity of the Romans, you still in the day, guess what you doing? Exactly what they want you to do, right? You playing that harlot, man.
Yeah.
You know,
when you think about it, many of these nations and kingdoms, they are likened to women, all right, such as Babylon the Great.
Mm-hmm. And you playing that harlot with them, man. You know, you laying down with you disrespecting that spiritual marriage with Yahweh Shem Yahweh, you know. But to get back to the title at hand, though, you know, going into how, you know, America that rise from empire, America is Rome, modern day Rome, reincarnated, right? So I want to go into 2nd Ezra and read a few, chapter 11. You know, like I mentioned earlier, read a few precepts. Just going into, you know, showing you the structure of how Rome was ran, you know, and how America does that today. You know, America mimics that way today. You know, so this is 2nd Ezra 11. I started verse 1. He says, then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads, right? So those 12 feathered wings, right? You know, it goes into the 12 emperors, right? And that, it's like the eagle is the ancient Roman Empire. The eagle is the ancient Roman Empire, right? And the archangel Uriel is showing Ezra these visions. You know, Uriel meaning light of the Most High. So he's giving him this knowledge, you know, fire of the Most High, right? So he's showing Ezra this, right? So that he says from the sea an eagle, and everybody, you know, if you understand that, sea's talking about the people, because the Roman Empire ruled the known world at the time. You know, at that time, America wasn't really part of that known world at the time. It was like Asia Minor, Africa, such like parts of Africa, such like that, right? It says which had 12 feathered wings, which are the 12 Caesars, right, or the 12 emperors. And at that time, you know, you had starting with Julius Caesar, you had Augustus Caesar, then you had Tiberius Caesar, then you had Caligula, you had Claudius Caesar, then you had Nero. That was the first 6, right? And you know, when you see through spirit, Trump is their reincarnation, Nero, right? That was the first 6. Then you had the year of the 4 emperors. Start with Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian. And when you really see it, it's going to show you how much they was mauling and killing each other as well, right? And then it goes into Titus of Domitian, which is Vespasian started the Flavian dynasty, which, you know, when they came and took down Jerusalem, right? Really started under Nero, right? It started under Nero, but it ended with, you know, that Flavian dynasty, right? But verse 2, well, what's like in the 3 heads, right? So the 3 heads is Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus, right? He says, and I saw, and behold, she spread her wings all over the earth, and all the winds of the earth blew on her, and were gathered together, right? So that's just going into the winds, like, because all the kings they conquered the whole known world at the time. You know, Rome had it all the time. And another point is showing you that Esau's blessing was fulfilled through America, because at that time they had the known world at the time, Asia Minor, things that said, but America, its policies are enforced everywhere. So that's when this blessing from Esau really, you know, fulfilled when this beast system comes into power, right? Lord willing, we're going to once again Revelation 13, right? It says, and I beheld out of her feathers that grew other contrary feathers, and they became little feathers and small. Those contrary feathers is meaning like those rulers who didn't rule for long, right?
Before you keep going, like you say in verse 2, right? I had talked about those winds. So again, that's all the nations under the influence of Rome, like you stated, right? Because Rome's influence back in those days really covered like damn near the whole East. You know what I'm saying? At that point in time. So I just pulled up just a map just to let you see like a visual as to how you know how much influence that Rome had on the area. Like it's covering almost that entire continent, right? So, but that was just
And I'm glad you brought it out, because it's showing, right? So as I mentioned, how you see on that map how they covered, but you're gonna see how America, when this beast system, when this beast gave his power into, you know, America, when that wound was healed, right? NATO, EU, America, right? America went and did what? He put to him all nations. That's when their policies went enforced across the whole world, right? You know, if you got the, you can read the Habakkuk.
This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 5. Yet also because he transgressed about wine, he is a proud man.
And that wine, you gonna break it down? You can. Okay, but so that wine is going into the policies, you know, the philosophies, the ways of America, right? How they enforce it everywhere.
Kind say, neither keepeth at home, who a large of his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
So like I mentioned, how that blessing Esau got, the facts of the earth, that sword, it fulfills really through this place right here, America, right? Because as we're gonna go into throughout the sit down, how we're gonna show you how America is that reincarnation of Rome, right? Because Rome come back, you know, they fall, but then they come back, right? So we'll get back to this, you know, we'll later say that when we get into it, right? So this says, verse 4 says, but her heads were at rest. The head in the midst was greater than the other, and rested with the residue. So that head in the midst is talking about Julius Caesar, you know, just because he was a general, you know, he had the fame, the popularity, you know, things that such, right? So at that time, Rome had a monarch system, right? But it goes into the first triumvirate, right? And really the point where I wanted to read, that's really kind of point I want to touch on that, but I want to go into the first triumvirate, right? Which is all right, so this says the first triumvirate, right? With those 3 heads, Julius Caesar in the middle, then you got Pompey and Crassus, right? So it says the first triumvirate, 60 to 53 BCE, was an informal, secret political alliance between Roman titans Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. Formed to bypass Senate opposition, it allowed the trio to dominate Roman politics, push through favorable legislations such as land for veterans and secure key military commands. The alliance ultimately fractured, leading to civil war due to the death of Crassus, competing ambitions between Caesar and Pompey. But the point was, Rome had a monarch system, right? That's why when you go into, by the fact, I grabbed it, Daniel 7, and verse 7, right? When you go into Daniel 7, when it's naming the beast, right? And Daniel 7:7, when it talks about it, says, and after this, I saw the night vision in the fourth beast, which is the Roman Empire, right? It says dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, because nobody, like they came different, right? You know, they had the iron weaponry, things as such, right? And it says they had iron teeth and devouring, breaking pieces, instead of residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it and had 10 horns, right? But when you go understand it, it was diverse because then they come with that, you know, that quote unquote, today they call it an election, you vote, things like that. But back then, it's also showing you now that your vote don't matter, because they created a Senate house. So instead of it being a monarch to where if I'm the king and I have a son, he'd rule next, and his son ruled, right? You know, so they wanted to change that. They wanted to take that monarch system and come with what? The voting, well, the quote unquote voting system, to where people would vote, or you know, they would pick one man to rule every year, you know.
I got a quick precept. Just going off you.
I was just about to say it.
First Maccabees.
Yeah,
going to it. I'll just go.
Oh, no, you got it.
So this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 15, say, moreover, how they had made for themselves a Senate house. So this is going off what the brother just mentioned, right? It said, when 320 men sat in council daily, consulting the way for the people to the end they might be well ordered. Right, so this is going off the brother, just a quick precept.
Now to read that, so they
to the that fourth beast, right?
Roman Empire. So they created that Senate house to where basically how America, go vote so you can vote the president. No, but the president is not elected, he's selected. They already know who they're gonna pick. They already know what's going on. But at the same time, they get that from who? The Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire created that structure to stop, you know, like, because you have men who have sons, but these sons could be an asshole when he comes through rulership, right? This guy could be a good kid, but his son could be a whole asshole, you know, things that says, right? So he would rule as soon as he passed, or whatever happened to him, his son would come to rulership, you know? But so they created that, like we mentioned, the Senate House, where they would vote. You have men who these men would sit. How we just watched the video, how he would say you would have these people go meet in secret. You would have these higher people go meet in secret. The video we just watched, right? And then they would go basically talk about these things. Oh yeah, this is gonna be the next president. This is gonna be the next thing. This is what the next thing we do, right? But that started with the Roman Empire, how they created that way, right? I don't know, the brother got something.
Was you just gonna go through Second Esdras?
Second Esdras is 11. Mm-hmm. I mean, we could. I just wanted to so that scratch that first triumvirate, but if the brother wants, we can for sure. But I want to also grab this going into. I was just using it to show like the structures before we went to Revelation 13, how they're showing how it's to be. But Lord, if you want to, we can go to the second Esdras.
I mean, if y'all want to, we can. But I really just want to get to verse 5.
Okay, I'll read it for you. I was at verse 4. I started 4 again, and I read down. It says, but her heads were at rest. The head in the midst was greater than the other, yet it rested with the residue. Moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers and reigned upon the earth over them that dwelt therein.
Kind of reading this one too.
It says, and I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spoke against her, no, not one creature upon the earth.
So again, like, because if we haven't read Revelation 13 yet, so it's gonna be the same thing. But ultimately, again, this is ways that you know that America is just a reincarnation of Rome, because this is that first beast system, man. This was that first system that, you know, you go against the Roman Empire, man, you was done for. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having that. It's the same way America's gonna be, especially when that mark of the beast hit. You know, if you try to come against the ways of America with that mark of the beast, you're gonna be exiled, man. You're not gonna be able to take part in this society, right? They'll kill you, they'll throw you in concentration camps, FEMA camps, jails. You know, they'll and no telling what
kidnap your president.
You know what I'm saying? There's no telling what all they will do. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the point I wanted to make. That just another way to show as reincarnated. Is that this is the original first beast system? So they're just trying to redo it, right? They got that same spirit, the same spirit that was on those emperors in Rome. It's the same spirit now. They just redoing it. They're repeating history.
We'll come back to that too. Coming back to around about verse 32, close to the end, we'll go to verse 13. But another point with Herod, was not Herod one of the Roman rulers as well?
Herod was the, if I'm saying, he was the king of Babylon,
Babylon.
if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been because, but in the day, what I was pointing about the brain, this is the Edomites. Edomites, they in rulership, right? They, it says Herod the Great was a Roman, right? But I want to make because these is just showing you. I'm going to show you who in rulership, right? Who was Herod father, Antipater the Idumean, right? Idumean is what? The Greek word say Edom. So it's just showing you that what the Edomites.
That's what it say. Say Edom.
Yeah, because he was born in Edom.
You know. So these are the Edomites who are in rulership, right? These are Edomites who are in rulership, right? So we can go to verse 13 before we come back to second 11.
He was the king of Judea. Yeah, I was wrong.
Right. So
What you want to?
You mean
What you wanna
Revelation
start?
13?
yeah, Revelation. I said Romans.
Yeah, you said,
Yeah,
I think you
Revelation
said
13. We can really start. We're really going into.
Verse 1.
Just,
We can start verse 1, but the really point is like
slow it
3.
down.
Yeah, 3 through 5 really, or 2 and 3 and 4. Then it jumps down. We go down to verse 11 through 11, 12. 11 and 12. But I started verse 3, Revelation 13 and 3, right? It says, so we mentioned before, you got the 4 beasts. You got the first beast was the Syrian Babylonian Empire, which the Syrians were in rulership, but the Babylonians came and took them over. Well, you understand that Nebuchadnezzar was a Syrian, but he came and took over. The Babylonians, he was the greatest king of the Babylonians, right? And the second beast, you got the Medo-Persian Empire, right? With the Medes being first, but the Persians came, they was more fierce, and that was a strong empire as well. But you got the Greeks, and the Greeks is the establishment of the Edomite Empire, the first Edomite civilization, right? How you want to put it. They ruled the known world at that time, under Alexander the Great, right? Then you had the Romans, the fourth beast. The Romans come in, right? Which the Roman Empire is still in rule today. In America, it's that revised Roman Empire, which we're going to show you, right? So, but when you understand it, Revelation 20 kind of comes into play as well in this because we understand it. The Roman Empire fell, right, for those 1,000 years. The Edomites, they was had that seal over them for those 1,000 years. They had failed, right? So when they failed, Jake came into rulership. Before there was a pagan empire, until Constantine, he came, was pushed in Christianity and whatnot, and it became the Holy Roman Empire. But they was under Jake for 1,000 years, right? They was under Jake for a time until those seals were lifted off of them. And they came back into rulership through what? The Renaissance.
That was that Byzantine Empire. It lasted from around 400 AD to about the 1400s AD, which is like you said when the Renaissance started. The Renaissance started like in the 1450 somewhere.
It really started around the 1300s, but it really became big around that 1500s type, and it was really big around the 17.
It's 1,000 years.
So this is real fast. It says it's the Renaissance, right? 350 to 1600 was a fervent period, right, of European rebirth and cultural art, science, and politics, bridging the Middle Ages and modernity. Originating in Florence, Italy, right, which is in Rome, right. It was defined by revival of classic Greek and Roman philosophy, humanism, and artistic innovation, right. So we understand really the revival of the Roman Empire, which we know America comes out of Europe, that bottomless pit, right. It's telling you how these people come back into rulership, but really the Renaissance is the revival of the Roman Empire. As you see, it says rebirth. Right, it was a favorite period of European rebirth, right? So this is the rebirth of the Roman Empire, right? So we'll go back to Revelation 13 and 3, right? It says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded, right? And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world went after the beast. Right? brothers want to go into.
Like you were saying, man, that's that Renaissance, that's that rebirth, that's that daily wound being healed. Because like the brother saying, when you got the Dark Ages, which was those 1,000 years, you know, that was their quote unquote daily wound, right? But when they came back into power, you know, saying they started, you know, painting over the images, right? Things of that nature, changing the culture, changing history, right? That's them healing that daily wound, right?
What's that word you said?
Iconoclasm, right? Icon meaning image, clasm meaning faces, right? They literally changed the faces, right?
Let me read this little AI overview real quick to back you up.
Okay.
It says the Renaissance from 1350 to 1600 was a fervent period of European rebirth in culture, art, science, and politics, bridging the Middle Ages and modernity.
I'm gonna read this too, some history as well. You have some.
Yeah, I got a quick appreciate you bring that.
Cause this is history as well. Cause like just going into how you know why that rebirth came into effect, because we understand it, right? This some notes I got. You know, it's from ARE, but this some notes I got, right? So this is going into how you know the Moors, right, which were Israelites, just practiced Islam, right? You know, so that they was ruling in Spain and Portugal, right? So it says yes, those African Moors, which are Israelites, right? It says ruled in Spain, Portugal in the period known as Al-Andalus from 711 to 1492. They conquered the Iberian Peninsula, emancipating its culture, architect, and science, and leaving a lasting legacy in both modern Spain and Portugal. The term Moor was used to describe various Muslim populations of North African and other descent who lived on the peninsula, right? But once again, those Moors are Israelites who practice Islam, right? But we understand it. We were ruling during that time. Edomites was down; they was under us. We had the rules during that time. When you look up those marble floors, when you see over there those
We call it the Dark Ages.
The statues, things as such, you know, those were actually Israelite men. You know, they had swords on them, they had kingdom things. That's we was in rulership during that time. It was actually Jake who was ruling. Esau was down; they was under us. So Esau had to, you know, they was protesting, you know, coming up against. Right, it's pictures. It's a picture in the book, and it's so crazy. They had the book. The book. The little brother watched the lesson. I sent to the group chat a while ago. It's called America was called Ashereth. You know, and in this book, the book costs like $700, $800 because they really don't want you to buy the book, because the book really in the book it shows you pictures of, you know, Jake, there's statues of Jake out there in Spain and Portugal. You see the floors that Jake made. You see how Jake got the sword on him. He got his garment on. Then you see pictures of Edomites basically like coming out the woods, you know, because they come out them caves, coming out from being down. They rebellion up against, like they got pitchforks and like things to say, you know how they had a little pitchfork to fire. And they standing around like Jake, like one quote unquote like castle whatnot, and Jake is like a king and the prince are looking out of it. You see the Edomites basically like protesting against it, because when they came out deceiving all the people. Because at first everybody knew who they were. Oh, they wicked, ooh, things that said. They came out, the Most High allowed them to deceive the whole world, and they got to a point where everybody just accepted it.
Two things, quick. Just another definition for that iconoclasm, right? It says the rejection or destruction of religious images as heretical. So again, it was very, very intentional of what they did. But a precept of what you were saying is Isaiah 25:7, right? It says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So that's what Yahweh Shem Shah has to do, right? He has to what? He has to like it says, he has to destroy, you know what I'm saying, the face of this mountain. The mountain being who? Esau, Edom, their government, right? That's what mountains are, you know, governments or kingdoms, right? So that's what he has to destroy the face of this mountain, because otherwise, you know, they would stay in the power, right? Everything would still be hidden, which we know cannot happen.
Quick precept.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, just to back up the brother, the definition. You agree the definition one more time?
Iconoclasm. It says the rejection or destruction of religious images as heretical.
This is Isaiah 5, and I started at 19. It says that say, let him make speed and hasten his work, that we may see it, and let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. Verse 20 is the point. It says, woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. And it's basically what happened in that period. They again, like the brothers, going into whitewashing everything, put because setting Jacob as the dark one, the evil one, and putting themselves as the light, right?
Quick precept, back y'all up. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where was he? So it's going up. Y'all point on how they whitewashed everything, how they cut off the noses of the statues and things to that sense. Even with the knights, right? The ancient knights, right? There was the Israelites, right? And here go a picture, right? 'Cause I went to a college, and our mascot was a knight. And we had knights in the like museum in the hallway, and the knights used to wear garments, right? Because they was Israelites, But Esau, Edom, they whitewashed everything. They have you thinking that they was what the knights of Rome and things of that. So they just stole that from us.
Same thing with like the first samurais, like those are all Israelites. You know what I'm saying? The Israelites the first to do everything really, because we were the salt of the earth. They're quite frankly, that means we make everything better. But
another quick point as well too. I watched this in the lesson, it's a video. But I actually was looking at it as well just now. I was trying to find the article I had found a while ago, but it also goes to not saying Christopher Columbus was a Jew, but when he left Spain, Portugal at that time, that's the time when they had the Esau. They basically overcame the Moors, once again, Israelite, and it basically the ones who was left, they making them turn into the Jews who was left. It was forcing them to turn into like Catholic, turn to Christianity, whatnot. How they put it. And that's around the time where he left. The time where he left out of Spain. Of course, he had to get up. He wanted to get up out of there. Because they was forcing all the Jews to converse over.
You read verse 3?
Oh no, I ain't read verse 3. I just had read verse 2. I read verse. I had read verse 3. I ain't read verse 4 yet. But I read verse 3 again. Right? It says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death," which we just went into. With the Romans, or not just Romans, the Edomites being down. Which was where that Roman Empire fell. To economic reasons. If you read throughout 2nd Ezra 11, you'll see how those emperors was killing and killing off each other. Because they wanted to be in power. They was killing each other off. Slaughtering each other, poisoning each other, doing all type of things to each other. With Caligula, he wanted to put his statue in the temple, and they ended up assassinating him. With Julius Caesar, when they killed him, his last word was how you say it in Latin, "Et tu brute," right? Just meaning like "you too Brutus," right? Because that was one of his close friends who had backstabbed him to take him out of power, because they felt like he was bringing that monarch back just because the people loved him, right? But he says, "I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after that beast," right? It says, "And they worshiped the dragon," which is that Roman Empire, ancient Roman Empire, which gave his power unto the beast, right? Which is that beast system, NATO EU, right? Which is that rebirth of the Roman Empire, right? NATO, right? It says, "And they worship the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who's able to make war with him?" Because nobody could come up against him, man. As I mentioned earlier, during that time, Rome ruled the ancient world during that time, but now this Edomite's blessing, the Edomite's blessing has been fulfilled through America, with them conquering everywhere, military bases everywhere, their policies enforced everywhere, them controlling everything, going into any land they want to, taking their resources, all those things. Now this beast system is blessings being fulfilled, right? I don't know if brothers got anything on that.
Yeah. Again, like Esau does nothing but blaspheme, the true ways of the Lord, the true ways of the Lord. Esau claims to be, the children of the Lord. That's just in their nature. Their nature is to, be deceptive, right? So, quick precept, Wisdom of Solomon 2:12, right? It says, "Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. He is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education," right? Verse 13 is kind of the point. It says, "He professeth to have the knowledge of the Most High, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord," right? And this is what Esau, Edom does. You know, just look at the land of Israel right now. They call themselves to be, you know, the true children of the Lord, the true people of the Lord. But I mean, we know that not to be the case. But that was a quick precept.
Right? And verse 5 it says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things of blasphemy, right? Like the brother was mentioning. And power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. So what is that? From the time Jamestown, or Jamestown, Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they come into colonization, when at 1611,
1619,
Slakia, and to the time of Abba Bibbins, you know, receiving this truth, the 1970s, receiving this truth, because you gotta know. Now, at one point, they was able to, how, you know, matter of fact, I'll read Revelation 20 real fast, Revelation 20 and 7. It says, and when 1,000 years are expired, right, when we just mentioned how Esau was down, right, and we're reading about how they come, and at Renaissance, when they come back into power, which is through America, NATO, EU, you know, this beast system, right? It says, Satan shall be loose out of his prison. Verse 8 is the point. It says, and shall go out to deceive the nations, right? So they went out deceiving the whole world, like the brother Reed, telling everybody they're the chosen people, you know, making Jake think he African, the covering cast, you know, having Jake in these plantations reading his Bible, said we all going to the same heaven. The guys is white, Jesus is white, his name is Jesus, all these type of things. They go out deceiving and tricking everybody, right? You know, but now the truth is back into us, so now we're able to return back to who we are. We're able to see this devil device. We're able to see his moves, his ways. We're able to see his darkness, because we have the light of Yahweh Shah to be able to see that, you know, he's speaking blasphemy, man. You know, he's speaking straight lies. He's speaking pure lies. You know, that's why in Second Thessalonians it says, you know, Yahweh Shah is coming after the working of Satan, working his miracles, man. You know, Satan, he deceiving everybody, tricking everybody except for the elect. So the brother ain't got to know now. I jump down in verse Revelation 13, verse 11, right? And it says, Revelation 13, 11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, right? So we'll read that. Brother, you want to expound on this? If I go to Daniel 7, this little beast coming up out of the earth.
Well, yeah, I was gonna go straight to Daniel 7.
Okay, you can go to that. We can go to that.
So I'll go ahead and read it. And first, read it again.
So this is Revelation 13 and 11, right? And it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth.
So this is Daniel 7 and 7, right? It says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of the feet of it. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, right? So again, this is talking about, you know, that Roman Empire, right? And those wars, referring to the Macedonian Wars, right? I'll read this little excerpt or whatever. It says the Greco-Roman world, also known as classical iniquity, refers to the interwoven civilizations of ancient Greece and Rome that flourished between the 8th century BC and the 5th century AD, right? It says centered around the Mediterranean basin. This period saw the influence of Greek and Roman language, culture, government, and religion spread throughout Europe, North Africa, and West Asia. So this is just telling you the influence that it had, right? Because like I said in verse 7, it says dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, right? So they had influence in all of these regions, right? They conquered, you know, so on and so forth, right?
Quick point too. It's gonna be a quick point. Next precept we read to show you how America, the next precept gets to, you know, it's showing you how the Romans, or the Edomites, the Romans during that time, they had conquered over what part it says East Asia, what is it?
West Asia, North Africa, and Europe.
So they had the known world at the time, they had it conquered. But watch how this other beast with little horns he finna bring out, come through and conquer all of it. It's finna come through and control the whole world, basically.
So verse Daniel 7 and 8, it says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Okay, so that little horn is America, right? This is that healing of that of the daily womb, like it speaks of in Revelation 13, Revelation 20, right? This is that healing, that little horn that's coming up. So Babylon the Great, America is like the title says, is the reincarnation or the revival of the Roman Empire, right? And then I read it again. It says, day 7 and 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
Because America has that little horn, as you mentioned, America has that NATO EU, but and NATO is like 30 countries in it, but like America has the main say so within this. Like whatever America says is what goes down. Like this little horn is in rulership over all of them. It's you think you should go to it? Which one? Revelation 17? 18? Yeah.
That's the spirit.
Good.
I was just gonna say, no horns also represent
EU.
yeah, represent that power. But you want me to grab that real quick?
Yeah, kind of has reign.
Is the 18 or?
It's at Revelation 17, reign over the kings of the earth.
So the Revelation 17 and 18 saying, the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
It gets found.
And obviously what they're talking about, America, right? And obviously we see, America is what, Roman 2.0. But as we can see now that America is falling, but even until now, they still have to say so over these other nations as well, right? That's why a lot of these nations, when America doing these things that they doing now, that's why they still and hesitant into what they want to say back to America or whatever the case may be.
Kind of why it says in Revelation 13, it says, his dragon gave his power into the beast, because America's in that power seat of the Roman Empire. This is where they established their new order at that Renaissance, not the Renaissance, the Enterprise. This is where they established it at, because when you also go to Revelation 17, it talks about how the 8th head comes from the 7th head, which comes out of that bottomless pit, So you read on, we're going to those first horns that was plucked up.
So this is Daniel 7 and 8 from the top again. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, right? So those 3 horns plucked up by the roots. So what? You got the French, the Spanish, and the British, right? They were plucked up by the roots. How? Because that's literally where your modern day America came out of, right? It literally came out of the last one, which is the British, right? You had when they seceded from the British with the whole Revolutionary War, 13 colonies, all that, yada bullshit, right?
Also as well, these people had lands over here in the Americas as well, and America fought for them. With the mentioned Revolutionary War, you had the French and American War, you had the Spanish and American War. So America came up and plucked them up, kicked them off, like basically got rid of them. Just how with Rome was during that time. Anybody who came up against Rome, they wanted your land, guess what they do? They come over there, take it over. There's plenty who tried to fight back, try to come against Rome, but they couldn't, because Rome was that powerful, it was dreadful and terrible, man. Just how America is that 2.0 today. Did we not just see that recently with Trump going into, Venezuela? He just went over there and just showed you how,
Not even America, not even Trump, but look at the small hats.
God, which is those people. That's a good point. Those who really rule, those are the ones who really rule. Those are the people who sit in that Senate house, how we read, who pick, like, yeah, Trump, you're going to be the president back here. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Those are the ones who really run the things behind the scenes, those light bearers. Okay, you got it, bro.
Really, that's the first part. So you can go continue on in that verse 11, yeah.
So Revelation 13 and 11, right? And it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, which is America. And he had 2 horns like a lamb. He spake as a dragon.
And so those 2 horns referring to what? You got your 2 parties. You got your Republicans and your Democrats, right? This is the way America is ran. Like, going back to how they had to have a new way to run things instead of it being a monarch, right? And read that last part again.
Well, it says he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
So like a lamb, what do your politicians do? When they had all these rallies, like when Trump going around these cities, and when Biden was going around the cities, and Kamala Harris and all these you know, wicked people going to all these cities. They having these rallies. What are they doing? They're acting like a lamb. They're being quote unquote harmless, right? They're promising people things, things of that nature to get voted for, right? But it says what? Spake as a dragon, because that's what Esau Edom do. That's what people in power in America do, right? They have hidden agendas, right? So, quick precept, Psalms 55 and 21. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, man. So this is the ways that the leaders of this nation are. You know, they come to you, you know, like a lamb, like, you know, something harmless, right? But in reality, you know, they have their hidden agendas. They have war in their hearts, right?
Come to you, like I mentioned earlier, speak you up good, make you trust them. That's the thing, you know, soon as you turn around, because you trust, stab you right in the back. And they do that to each other, you know. I can think of that piece of, you know, but got a good precept real fast. Daniel 2, verse 40.
God, and it reads, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron.
We're going into that fourth beast, which is that Roman Empire.
God, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise.
Because you know, they the ones who came with like the iron weaponry things that set by that time too, right?
Verse 41 saying, whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with mirrored clay.
Because they don't mix, right? You know, and you see how these two Democratic parties today, they're against each other. So the iron and clay don't mix, man. You got Edomites against each other. You know, I think that's second Esdras 15 and 1, if I'm not mistaken. What is it? That precept where they talk about basically, it's going into how they be killing each other. Brothers kill brother. This nation gonna be oh, I find a little when I bring it out. I like about relation, but it's going into how, you know, Esau is against each other. You read Revelation 13. Oh, I find this precept.
I got a precept too.
Okay, you can bring it out. We at verse 12 when you get back.
You said Revelation 13 and 12.
You can bring a precept back.
Kind of Matthew 12 and 25. It's saying Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. That's how then his kingdom stand, right? So this other brother was going into how the Republican and Democrats, right, be going against each other, right, having not seeing eye to eye. This kingdom would never stand, right? But
another good point too, going into that, you know, and how in this NATO EU, like how they when they sit down and have these talks, whatever, you know, they be at different agreement points. Like this, they might be agreement this way, this guy might be agreement this way, but ultimately, what America say, that's what we're gonna do anyway. It don't matter how he truly feel, what he truly say, or, you know, things as such, you know. So that goes into that iron and clay, how they don't mix, man. So this kingdom won't stand, man.
And I also just seen something how like the Democrats is 2 votes away to overthrowing something. I can't really remember. I have to find the article on it. But then again, I just seen something how it said Trump just signed something to bring the government back or something like that. So I have to continue to do my research on it. But I got that Revelation 13.
Come on, fact, I found it. Revelation 6 and 4. Real fast. I read this, how they go against each other, right? It says, there went out another horse that was red, somebody Edomite, right? It says, the power was given to him that set their own to take peace from the earth. Because that's what they do. They did it during the ancient Roman Empire. They doing it here today, man, right? It says, and that they should kill one another, and that was given to him a great sword, right? So not only they be out here slaughtering other nations and children of Israel, but they be killing each other as well, right? Second Ezra 11. It shows you vividly how they be killing each other, just killing each other off with no care, man. You know, but
Revelation 13 verse 12 saying he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed.
Kind of same thing. That wound, speaking of, speaking the one that was healed, speaking, earlier, talking about America being the reincarnation of Rome, right? Them coming back into power.
And he exercised all the power for him, because once again, when you go up, it says that dragon, which is Roman Empire, he gave all his power into this beast. So now America do what? All the ways of America mimics the ways of Rome, right? Going from the voting, going from the even with the this real fast, the tax and the sentences, right? Luke 2:1 real fast says it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Those sentences, that's what America gets that from Rome as well. All these things with America, it gets from Rome, man. Which showing you that Rome is still in rulership. That's why when you in school, and it's crazy. I was thinking about this the other day. I remember in 6th grade we learned about this. That's why you in school, you learn about Roman history a lot. How they created the aqueduct, which is the modern day plumbing system. How they create these things. You learn about Roman history in school. You might not really pay attention to it as much because we're young when they teach it, around like 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade when they teaching it, right? But you learn about the Roman history because why? They want you to know that. Listen, they want to take our history out. They want to force their history in of how they quote unquote created this great kingdom. So they want to enforce their true way. They know who they are, man. They know they're the Edomites. They know this is the revised Roman Empire.
They try to flip, what I'm saying, with the Renaissance and the Dark Ages. They try to make it seem like, Rome was just, poor, and they used the Renaissance to kind of give them like a kickstart. No, nigga, them niggas, they was out of power. They had no power. They were locked away. You know what I'm saying? Like it said in the scriptures. It wasn't just like, oh, somebody just had a bright idea that let's just start dancing and fucking drawing arts and shit. No, they fell out of power. You know what I'm saying? They had to redo everything. That's why it means rebirth.
And even you got to think what they did to our people. Coming in the temple, taking all the riches, taking all the how they built the Roman Colosseum from the riches of what they took from the temple. That's how they built the Colosseum. Literally, they took the riches from our temple in Jerusalem, and they built the Colosseum off that. But
riches got by the seas.
It's going back to 2nd Ezra 11, right? And not only are we showing you how America copy its policies and ways, we can show you vividly a little bit of how those they're still having us under that same oppression as well, right? Because in that time, when it started with Nero, when the people was rebellion and coming up against them, and Nero ruled for 14 years. They call it the first Roman Jewish war. They call it, started in 66 AD, right? Our people rebellion, and Nero sent Vespasian over to Jerusalem to basically shut down the rebellions and whatnot. And then Nero goes out of power, and that goes into the year of the 4 emperors, which that's 69 AD. Yeah, 69 AD, and that's when with Vespasian ended up becoming ruler. He ended up becoming emperor at that time. And his sons, Titus and Domitian, finished off the siege of Jerusalem, right?
Through the spirit, Vespasian is the reincarnation of Julius Caesar. He was a key general under Nero. But you got it.
I'm gonna read the precept real fast. But first, I'm gonna read this book from Babylon to Timbuktu. This a history. It's like a history going into what they coming in, right? So this
and before you said that precept that you brought out earlier with that Revelation 6 and 4, that's a perfect example from them. The year of the 4 emperors, because that's what they was doing. They was killing each other. That's the spirit. That's the spirit of Esau Edom.
So this is from Babylon to Timbuktu, right? So I start right here. It says the army of Antiochus marched into Palestine to support Menelaus, the leader of post-Syrian party. As a result, many Jews were killed. Others escaped to the hills and to Egypt. Only those Jews who supported Antiochus' policies remained in Jerusalem, and indicted was promulgated in directing the observance of holidays, the Sabbath, and circumcision, and a statue of Jupiter was erected in the holy temple above the altar. To this statue, the people brought sacrifices of pig meat, animal. The pig meat, the animal, which is abomination to the Jews because of the religious persecution. But if I'm gonna actually jump, now it's going to how the people they gave in to the ways of the nations and started, just basically giving it to them because the oppression was heavy. Right, but it's the point right here. It says in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with a great slaughter. During the period of military governance of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, right, it's estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, right, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves, right, and that's what leading back to 2 Ezra 11. Not only do America mimics their ways, their policies, and their how they run their system, but also how they treat us as a people. Like nothing new under the sun. These people, like it would Nero. Look what's going on now. When you go into the history, you see how the people was rebellion coming up against Nero, coming up against the order of the emperor, things that such. What are people doing now under Trump, who look just like Nero? But through the spirit you receive it, the reincarnation of Nero. What are they doing? Rebellion, coming up against the government, coming up against them, man. Right?
And just a quick point, just to prove, everything through the scriptures, right? Because what you just brought out mentioned Antiochus, right? And it was saying how, how it got bad for, the Israelites at the time, right? So it's all in First Maccabees 1, right? And 10, right? It says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks, right? And verse 11, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow, man. So this is that history.
God, so even going back to the Romans, right? So this is after the year of the four, or it's in the years of the four emperors. Vespasian coming to rule, as we mentioned earlier, right? Broke it down to four emperors: Julius, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, and then Claudia. Then you got Nero, first 6. Then you got the years of the four emperors: Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, and Titus. And Domitian, which Vespasian starts the Flavian dynasty, as brother mentioned, reincarnation of Julius Caesar, right? So this is when Vespasian is in rule, right? It says, but this head, right? But this head, because he's that, it's talking about how them 3 heads come back, but it's just mentioning those 2 heads, which are 2 heads on the side, which is Titus Domitian, but the head in the middle, right? It's giving you a sense that how Vespasian is a reincarnation of Julius Caesar, right? But it says, but this head put the whole earth in fear and bear rule in it, talking about Vespasian.
What verse you in?
2 Ezra 11, verse 32.
Okay.
It says, but this head put the whole earth in fear and bear rule in it over all those that dwell upon the earth with much oppression, and it had the governance of the world more than all the winds that had been. So he came in, he was starving Jake, cut off the water supply. He came in, he was doing Jake bad. He knew that he was on Jake harsh. It's that Flavian dynasty. This is what going into when Jerusalem actually went down, because they was trying to get into Jerusalem for years, but it was heavily guarded. They couldn't come up against it. They knew to take it down to what? It's at the temple. To do that, he was making Jake weak, starving them. You had Jake going out eating each other. But these are things that Yahweh Shai told him what would happen, right? This is what today was going on. The spirit, the mouth of the Lord right now is his prophet. The spirit coming to the prophet, the teacher, to tell you what. These, not necessarily these same things, but these same things are coming again. Jacob's trouble, right? Jacob's trouble is coming again. They come with that harsh, fierce punishment. And then that's how you're going to have people eat children, just how in before when the Romans came against us, right? Luke 23, blessed are those who don't give suck in those days, because people eating babies, eating children, doing whatever they can to survive. What you think finna happen again? Because Yahweh Shai told them, it's going to be a time like never before. Jacob's trouble finna be a time like never before. Even how harsh they did us then in the ancient Roman Empire. Might as well they finna do this Rome 2.0. Now they more geeked up. Now they got their technologies are more better. They all type of things. The Most High, they blessing is fulfilled. And the Most High gonna allow them to do these things. So imagine how much worse it's finna be now, you know, in this Rome 2.0, right?
You gonna read that in that Luke 23?
You can.
Okay. And then you probably got it already, but that Revelation 12, start at 13.
It's my,
Whichever one of y'all can get it.
somebody, I ain't had but a short time.
Nah.
Verse 12.
Oh, you talking about the flood, the Rome with the flood, and they come like a flood.
Nah, it's talking about.
So when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth.
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna read this right quick, because like you was saying, you know what I'm saying, you know, this was at 70 AD, you know what I'm saying, that great oppression, right? So, but this is Yahushua speaking of it, right? So this is Luke 23 and 28. It says, but Yahushua turning unto them said, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children.
Because they put him on the cross with them, the people like weeping for Yahushua, things that said, but Yahushua telling them like, nah, don't weep for me. Like, y'all better weep for yourselves, because what they finna do to y'all is finna be outrageous, man. Y'all finna be going through it, you know.
It says, for behold, the days are coming, in the which they shall say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the paps which never gave suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things in the green tree, what shall be done in the dry, right? So it's going to be, again, like he was referring to earlier, that terrible time that it's going to be. There's going to be no safe place, no safe haven, no help. You know, it's going to be a terrible time, man. But if one of y'all got that revelation,
Can I say something? Verse 31. One of my favorite precepts here says, for they do these things in the green tree. If you panicking while shit ain't even just riled up yet, what you gonna do in the drought? What you gonna do when it really get bad? What you gonna do? You got Jake out here worrying and giving up now. What are you gonna do when Jacob trouble truly hit? When the chip mandated, you know, when Esau not being more lenient no more, Esau either killing you, either getting down and lay down. What you gonna do then? You know.
I want to grab this quick account real quick. The brothers don't mind. Just because y'all was mentioning Nero and being there, you know, Trump is the Nero regenerated back to the earth. But this is AI overview. It says Nero crucified Peter because he blamed Christians, including Peter, for the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD, using them as scapegoats for his own unpopularity, leading to a brutal persecution where Peter was martyred by crucifixion in Nero's circus. Reported, and when you think about it, I don't know if y'all remember, but Trump was saying how public executions are coming back. You know, lynchings, hangings, guillotine, all that.
Again, another quick point also made me think of how Trump just said the civil rights movement make white people have much oppression. You know, made me think of that. We just read that as well.
And I think it might say it, but I think he started the fire himself.
Yeah.
But of course he blamed the Israelites, right?
You might don't never want to take accountability, man.
Right, like right now with the immigrants thing, we know Biden let all these people in, but of course, you know, they point the finger, acting like, you know, we came in here willfully, but hell, y'all opened the door, right? And hell, you brought the Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom over here on the ships or whatever. So, but you had something over here.
yeah. Just can you read that Revelation?
This book of Revelation chapter 12 verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
Man. So again, this is all getting to that oppression when you got that
Persecution.
Yeah, it's getting to all that, right? So that woman, right, preferring to you know, Jerusalem, right, and then that man-child being, you know, Yahushua, and then you can read that next verse.
Verse 14 saying, to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly to the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent.
Man. So that, you know, again, that woman fleeth, you know, because some people were able to, you know, escape that siege, of whom, you know, that's where we come from. You know, we are those, like, or like the account that you read earlier, Naama, about, you know, people fleeing into Africa, right? That's why you have, you know, like a lot of people over there are Israelites, right? When you got your, you know, Nigerians, you know, people, you know, So like when you got your like your West Africans, a lot of those West Africans are Israelites. Why? Because that transatlantic slave trade, that's where they got, you know, a lot of Israelites from. They were doing it right there on the East Coast, or not the East Coast, the West Coast, right? The West Coast of Africa is the closest thing to America, right? So that's
because I was just about to make that point too. I was really trying to find notes on it, but because we fled right there on that coast where it was easy, right, for them to, you know, because
I think I know what precinct you're talking about.
Now I was really looking at my notes in relation to 14,
Okay.
but it's going to tell you know how the more we got from our land, because we still practice our customs, but the more we got from our land, the more record we got, and it ended up us being, you know, running from them, then we end up being brought into captivity again, you know, because we lost our customs, lost our ways, and we eventually lost it all for real. But it was easier for them to be on that coast, was easier right there on the West Coast for them to bring us, you know, right over here to the Americas and to captivity. But a quick point as well. I was gonna say you read down to verse 15, because when you go to Luke 21, it tells you how Rome gonna come through Jerusalem like a flood. I think it's Luke 20 and 21, or Luke 21 and 20.
So this is Revelation 12:15. It says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away with the flood.
And I read this real fast. That flood, this is those Roman armies coming. On our people, this Luke 21, and this Luke 21 verse 20. It says that when you shall see Jerusalem, you see how shall I tell them, because he told them what's gonna happen, right? Just how they count. Also in Matthew 24, you know, he telling them in the temple, he's like, look, they looking at him, they like, look at this temple, look at all the things in it. He tell them like, what, you know, you see this temple, see all the things in it. So not one thing gonna unturned, man. Everything gonna be, you know, everything is gonna be turned upside down and destroyed. You know, but it's Luke 21 and 20 says that when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, you know the desolation thereof is not. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. Right, but that's just a point. You know how that flood is the Roman armies coming in Jerusalem and, you know, bringing that pain out on our people. But brothers ain't got nothing. I go to back to 2nd Ezra 11 real fast. Back at verse.
Ezra 33.
Yeah. So verse 33 says, and after this I beheld, and lo, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings. So the head that was in the midst, talking about Vespasian, and he went out. You know, he because everybody had their time to rule, and he not a rulership, so Titus came in the rulership. Right? He said there remained the two heads, which Titus do mission, which also in like sort ruled upon the earth over those that dwelt therein. This was the finishing of them coming to see Jerusalem, you know, with Titus coming in, those things as such, and taking over, siege, the great diaspora, things as such. It said, and not beheld, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it. It was upon the left, because also Revelation 6 and 4, how they say, basically they say accounts how he died. It's many accounts how they say he died, and also with Vespasian. Yeah, I know they say Vespasian died from intense diarrhea. Yeah, it's crazy. But nah, they say basically Domitian poisoned his brother Titus to basically become a rulership. How Revelation 6 and 4, another account showing that again, right? But so boom, this is the point I wanted to get to. So all that we saying, showing you, is right here gonna show you how that Roman Empire is still there, because when Yahushua come, right, the Edomites gonna be the end, you know. Obadiah chapter 1 and 21. You know, the Edomites are gonna be the end of this place, right? Which the Edomites still in rulership today, right? So this is 2nd Ezra 11:36, and it says somebody can 2nd Ezra chapter
12.
Yeah, you got it. So this 2nd Ezra 11 verse 36 says, they not heard a voice which said unto me, look before thee, and consider thou the thing that thou sawest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. That roaring lion talking about Yahushua. It says, and I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and said, remember that eagle is the Roman Empire, right? He said, hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? Even before we grab that, 2nd Ezra's, what is that? Jacob, Esau, the end of the world. Even before we read that. But this is showing you how what? You know, so Yahushua telling them, you know, you that four beasts who are allowed to reign, and you know, that the end gonna come through them. Because we read.
God, in 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, It reads, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows.
You know, if a man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. But if you got common sense, you can see how this is that revised Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire is still in rule to today. Because Yahweh shall tell them, y'all the ones gonna be in rulership when I come back destroy you, Edomites. When I come back destroy this place, bring that judgment upon you, y'all the ones who gonna be in rulership. Y'all the last beast that's gonna be ruling, and that fourth beast is still in rulership today. You know, but they're ruling right now is America. America is that rise Roman Empire. They the EU, right? You know, we can go to that 2 Ezra 12, and you can go in on it if you want to. You know,
I'll let you. But this is 2 Ezra 12 and 31. Right? It says, "And the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood, and roaring and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard, this is the anointed, which the highest hath kept for them and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty." Right? So and again, this is talking about Yahweh Shai, man. The destruction is going to happen to this place. This place is going to be, you know, nuked, destroyed, bombed, burnt up, whatever you want to call it. You know, it has to happen, right? But verse 33, it says, "For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them." Right? So, you know.
and another point, that's how you know that 3 days and a half, you know, be raised up. That spirit coming upon us, you know, and we're able to prophesy the downfall, you know, like the elders were saying, you know, speaking into existence, man. Speaking into the existence, the downfall of this place. And the coming of Yahweh shall destroy this place, because we know Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows, man. So Esau is the end of the world, and the Edomites are in rulership, which is that, you know, with those Romans are, today is modern day Rome, you know, because Yahweh shall told them, y'all gonna be that fourth beast that rule, you know, and the end gonna come through y'all. Right? I mean, it's vivid to show you that, you know, how America is that rise Roman Empire just rules today. You know, they're still in rule. That's why, as you can see it, that's why, you know, in Revelation 17, who's in rulership when John was, when Apostle John was writing that down? The ancient Roman Empire. But it says, and the beast that was not yet, the beast that was and not yet to come, because it wasn't time for America to come into power yet. You know, how about he got it all in order. He knew he had the order set up to how it was exactly how it was gonna go. He knew Rome was gonna fall. He knew Rome was gonna come back up through America, and that's when that blessing was fully fulfilled for them. The facts of the earth, the sword, right? That's when it was fully fulfilled for them to, you know, to have all of it. This is their birth, right? This is their kingdom, right? This is their blessing. They should be happy here. They shouldn't be going through no pain. So this is what they was given, but their end gonna come through them. These Romans, the modern day Romans, man, you know, which America mimics all those things about it. You know, you can really you can really finish off at verse 4. I mean, it's like at 34. Let's say.
Once you finish up, I got like 2 closing previews.
What you was talking about in
2 Ezra?
12?
Yeah, 2 Ezra 12, verse 34.
So this is again the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 12, verse 34. It says, "For the rest of thy people shall he deliver with mercy, those that have been pressed upon my borders, and he shall make them joyful unto the coming of the day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto thee from the beginning."
Man, so Yahweh he gonna come deliver his elect, man. You know, he gonna come who the foundation of the world, who was already, you know, selected for the foundation of the world, right? But Esau, Edom, you know, the Romans is gonna be in rulership when Yahweh shall come. You know, you Edomites, you know, and the end gonna come through y'all, and that's why you know, y'all mock Rome in every type of way. Y'all mimic Rome in every type of way, man, because this is that revised Roman Empire, you know, and this empire is gonna be brought down, and the kingdom of Yahweh is gonna be brought up.
Again, this is Obadiah 1 and 21. Right? It says, "And the Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's," man. So this really just proves, you know what I'm saying? Again, this is Esau's kingdom, you know, because once Esau's kingdoms fall, it has to be Yahushua's kingdom immediately after, you know, and there's no in between time, you know. So that's just, again, this is how you know this is Esau Edom still in power. You know, some people try to say Esau done away with. The scriptures say completely otherwise, you know. But
What they say? Then you go to the account of Job 9:24. The earth is in the hands of the wicked, right? Malachi 1:4. Who is the wicked? And you look at today, right now, who run the earth? You know, it's vivid, man. You see it. You know, it's right in front of your face. You know, but you know, he thought on dumb down these 2/3 and all these people. Got them drunken. You know, when you drunk, you stagger. You don't see straight. You blurry. You don't think right. So they all drunk out there fornication, so they don't see it. But that's why Yahweh Shai told you that what? Be sober and be vigilant. Be sober and be vigilant. Vigilant means looking, watching, left, right, being on point, man. That watchtower for like a word, that Habakkuk, right?
You was down with that cigarette, Jaleel?
Yeah, that was
Well, you brothers ain't got nothing. I guess you can get your.
Somebody grab Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, and Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. We'll close out with that. Brothers ain't got nothing.
Which one you grab?
So I just get the 1 and 9. So it's the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun.
How you break down?
Kind of, so everything that has happened, you know, it's specifically talking to, you know, Rome, you know, and the, you know, the Holy Roman Empire, so on and so forth. You know, it's all over again. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. Like the scriptures say, there's no end of all the people. You know, so the same people that was back then, the same people now. You know, it's those same spirits that are put in certain places. So these are ways that we know that, you know, the same spirit that was on the Romans to, you know, try to conquer everything, to have these, you know, quote unquote new technologies, to have these, to build these stadiums, to you know, to the way that they rule, so on and so forth, right? To just to be who they are. It's the same spirit as the politicians and so on and so forth here in America, man. It's everything that has happened. It's the same thing that's gonna be done, man. But
and before I read this, I'll read this real fast. This is the title of the article. It says, Trump says DEI civil rights policies hurt white people. You know, and I want to read this because Trump trying his best to get rid of the past, man. He already done took, you know, Black history and all those things out of school and that. So he's trying his best to, you know, get rid of this. You know, and they try their best to hide who they are as a people, but hey, they already exposed and they gonna continue being exposed. So this Ecclesiastes 3 and 15 says, that which has been is now. Even when you see that in the time we in now, where we in Jacob's trouble. We done had Jacob's trouble before, but not like we finna see. What we just wrote about, what we read about Jerusalem being taken down 66 AD, 70 AD, you know, them starving our people, killing our people. It's gonna be way worse in the time to come. Because these are the same people in rulership back then. You know, ain't no thing under the sun. It's brother read. It says that which is to be hath already been, and Yahweh requires that which is past. So these are the things of the past, man. Yahweh shall require all of them. You know, ain't nothing you can put behind them, ain't nothing you can hide, ain't nothing you can try to get rid of. You know, Yahweh shall require all things because ain't nothing under the sun. You Edomites ain't doing nothing you ain't been doing. You know, you've been wicked and you still wicked. You know, yeah, you got technologies and, you know, different things and stuff. Now you done got a little smarter in your way, but guess what? You know, Yahweh shall bless you to be able to do that. You know, because you fulfilling what he said for you to do, but ultimately, you know, he allowed you to build this kingdom up and become fierce and become very powerful. So when he bring you down, the whole world gonna know. That's why he allowed you to conquer the whole world, because the whole world gonna see you go down, and the whole world gonna know that one and only Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai are the true rulers, man. Along with, you know, King David and the elect in the kingdom of Yahweh Shai.
Kind of, that's also a good point, and we'll close out on this. But because being that ultimately only the Most High can save us from Esau. He, you know, roughly paraphrasing, who shall deliver me? What was me? Because like, you know, ain't no other nation gonna save us, and not even that they couldn't, because Esau has that much power. So it's gonna take Yahweh Shai. What's the archangel? What's the Michael? Yeah, it's gonna take all of that. But with that, man, Lord will, this sit down was edifying. Again, till next time, we'd like to close out by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, and shalom to the hopeful elect.
Shalom.